Texas grit, sharp and keen. A vulgar's lens cuts through the haze. Her dog's a sidekick on these strange days. Late nights with Des, unraveling secrets you can't second guess. True crime tales under moonlit skies. She's got the questions and piercing eyes. Whispers in the dark echo through the air. Her fearless spirit takes her everywhere. A Texan heart and a sleuth sharp mind. Late nights with Des leave no stone behind. Late nights with Des, piecing puzzles with finesse. True crime vlogger with a fearless quest. In her world, the curious are always blessed.
Hello, everyone. Today is November 1st. I hope you guys had a good Halloween. I was supposed to go live yesterday, but I got really busy, so I didn't get to go live. But I'm live today, and we were supposed to talk about this case yesterday, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give everyone a little break of true crime and let everyone enjoy their Halloween. So tonight we're gonna talk about a case. This case, I recently learned about it. If you know me, usually like sometimes documentaries or stuff I see on TikTok pops up that I've never heard before. So I was like, oh, I want to talk about this case. Like I've never heard about this case. So today we're going to be talking about Theresa Ann Bier. She's been missing since June of 1987. She was only 16 years old when she disappeared. So I'm going to read you the perfect Reddit. Shout out to this person who basically described the Theresa Ann Bier case. They actually came out with a documentary recently on Discovery regarding Theresa Ann Bier. But yeah, hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are doing well. Hit the like, subscribe. Tomorrow we have part 3 of Ellen Greenberg. We're not done with Ellen Greenberg. We're still going to talk about her. But I say, you know what? Let's talk about this case because I don't think no one has ever heard of the Theresa Ann Bier case and what Russell Welch told authorities. So, let me give you a little backstory. So, Theresa resided with her family in Fresno, California in 1987. She was last seen at 7:20 p.m. on June 1st, 1987. While on a camping trip with Russell Welch in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Theresa and Welch in the Sierra Nevada mountain range, or I read that twice, Theresa and Welch, whose nickname is Skip. So Russell Welch, they had a nickname, they would call him Skip. They camped in the area of Shut-Eye Peak, approximately 25 miles northeast of Bass Lake. He was 43 years old at the time. Mind you, she was only 16 at that time. They were reportedly searching for the legendary creature known as Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Skip considered himself a student of the legend. Theresa disappeared during the trip and has never been heard from again. And to this day, many years later, nobody has ever found Theresa Bier. Nobody has located her remains or anything like that. Skip did pass away, I think a couple years back. So, I mean, the only person that would know would be Skip, but Skip was putting the police in a whole, a whole cat and mouse chase and not saying anything much. So authorities questioned Welch when he returned to Fresno several days later. He initially claimed that Theresa ran away from him on June 1st. Then he changed his story. Welch eventually stated that Theresa had been forcibly taken by the cryptid legend Bigfoot. Welch was charged with child stealing in September 1987. Only 3 days before he was supposed to go to trial, authorities dropped the charges. They had offered to recommend a 1-year sentence if Skip signed a waiver allowing them to go forward with murder charges if Theresa's body were located, but Welch refused. The prosecution decided to drop the case to avoid double jeopardy, but if they wanted to charge him with murder later. Oh, I wasn't even showing you guys the. There we go. Searches of the Shut-Eye Park Peak produced no clues as to Theresa's whereabouts, but foul play is suspected in her case. It remains unsolved. Many of you are thinking, why would a parent allow their underage daughter to go camping with a middle-aged man? According to this lengthy but very informative article, Theresa and her sister didn't have the best home life. A few years back, I read a comment left under an article on Theresa that stated she was her twin sister. She could be Vicky, who's referred below. I cannot find this page, so take this with a grain of salt. This case is ice cold and all involved failed this young girl. So, I'm going to give a little backstory about Theresa's early life. Shout out to this person on Reddit. Theresa was born on April 16th, 1971. Yeah. To Shirley and David Bier. Shirley had mental illness, and David had been in the Vietnam War when Theresa was about 3 years old. Oop. I don't know what I clicked. 3 years old. She was severely injured, ending up in the hospital. Shirley wrapped Theresa's leg around the crib slates and twisted until it broke. She also beat Theresa, breaking several ribs. At this point, social services intervened and took Theresa and her sisters away. This was also when Theresa's parents split up. Theresa was placed in foster care, and Sylvia Pierce, a friend from the church, took in Theresa and her sister Vicky. Theresa lived happily with Sylvia for years until her father wanted her back. David had married Margie Richmond, who had daughters of her own, and had once been married to Shirley's half-brother, John Richmond. David petitioned the court to give his little girls back and was awarded custody. Theresa and Vicky became reunited with their father, moving to the Southern California, where both he and Margie worked as janitors. Allegedly, Margie would lock her refrigerator and just sit there and eat her lunch and not feed the kids anything. Theresa eventually returned to Fresno and stayed with her great-grandmother for a little while with Theresa's uncle, John Richmond, who also lived in Fresno. He was well known to Fresno law enforcement. Cops knew him as Blind Johnny. He fenced stolen properties, and he actively began to pursue custody of his niece. John had 2 young sons when he took in Theresa. His new wife had presumably the mother of these young sons was reportedly a worker of the night. He also had a 17-year-old girlfriend, Tammy, who often stayed at his place. So as you can tell, Theresa had like a very hard upbringing. Her mom had mental health issues. Her mom would beat her. Her mom broke her, I'm assuming, her leg, her ribs. Her dad came home, then took custody of Theresa and her sister, married somebody. That somebody was ruthless as well. I mean, allegedly they would lock up the refrigerator and she wouldn't feed the kids. She would eat for herself. Then Theresa ended up going and staying with her grandma, and she had her uncle there, and her uncle decided to take custody of Theresa. But her uncle, I mean, he had a 17-year-old girlfriend named Tammy who was staying there, yet he was married. That's a big red flag right there. Theresa became very, very withdrawn. She would stay in her room and keep to herself. Johnny would make Theresa babysit his little boys, causing her to miss school. They lived in a filthy apartment. At one point, Johnny's wife took Theresa to Southern California with the boys, where she turned tricks while Theresa watched the kids. Johnny began raping and molesting Theresa and will let his friends do the same thing. Now, mind you, Johnny, this blind Johnny, is supposed to be her uncle. When I looked up Theresa, a lot of people said that Theresa was very gullible. She'll do whatever you say. She wasn't, kind of basically saying like she would let you easily manipulate her. And it's sad because, I mean, her upbringing was just so horrible. I mean, allegedly her uncle would rape her and then let his friends do the same things to her. That's just so sad. I mean, this girl, all she wanted was a loving family who would take care of her and love her. In June 1987, Theresa had nearly completed her freshman year at Central High in Northwest Fresno. At age 16, she was a year or more older than most of her classmates. Teachers saw Theresa as slow and immature, and she was placed in special education classes. A man named Russell Skip Welch pretended to take Theresa to school, but both Skip and Theresa had other plans. They decided to go on a camping trip to Sierra Nevada mountains and to look for Bigfoot around the lake area. So Skip was a 43-year-old meth addict. He was obsessed with Bigfoot. He would often take girls into the mountains. Before Theresa went on the camping trip with Skip, Skip had taken a young girl named Michelle on a previous trip. She was warned by friends not to go with him, but she did it anyways. Michelle was smart enough to bring 2 male friends with her. It's a good thing too, because Michelle thinks she was drugged. She was screaming that someone was going to unalive her and almost fell off a cliff, but one of her friends saved her. So in the documentary that I saw, I believe Skip was friends with Theresa's uncle, Blind Johnny. I think they were friends, or they knew of each other, so he knew Theresa. But Skip had his own daughter as well. And in the documentary, his own daughter comes out. His own daughter comes out and says, like, yeah, I remember seeing Theresa. She was only 16. She was so, shy to herself when she had first encountered Theresa. She said that her and her dad were going to go look for Bigfoot in the mountains because her dad was her dad, which is in Skip, was very obsessed with Bigfoot. And he would take people up there to go look for Bigfoot and things like that. But allegedly in the documentary, like, as well, it's all alleged in my opinion. In the documentary, they said that Blind Johnny used to use young girls as, DRUG mules to sneak in the DRUGs, and then he would let his friends grape and do things to them. So a lot of people allegedly think that Theresa was one of his little mules, and then he would let his friends do the graping and stuff to Theresa. Skip encountered, I don't know how they encountered each other, him and Blind Johnny, which would be Theresa's uncle. They encountered each other, and that's when he saw Theresa. And from what they said in the documentary, they think that Theresa saw Skip as like a scapegoat away from this, from what she was enduring. Hang on. I don't always get any notifications when I'm live. What is going on? Not everybody's live tonight. All right, I'll check it out in a minute. So yeah. By mid-morning, the school called Johnny to inform him that Theresa was not at school. He told them she was homesick. He would later explain that he lied because he preferred to handle the matter on his own. This was mentioned in the documentary that the school did contact Blind Johnny, her uncle, to say, like, Theresa was not at school, and he told him, like, oh, she's sick. So they believed that he was covering up for Skip Welch. Before they headed to the mountain, Skip and Theresa made a stop at his daughter Sandra Welch place. Skip was having trouble with his beat-up 1976 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. At 9:30 p.m., when Theresa wasn't still home, John finally called the Fresno police to report her missing. On Friday, June 5th, Skip's car was spotted parked by a trailer park near the town of North Fork, a small foothills community that serves as a kind of gateway to the Shut-Eye Park region of the Sierra National Forest. Skip had driven down from the mountains to the residence of his friends, Dorothy Davis, who lived right behind the trailer park. Days later, Dorothy told authorities that Skip was extremely upset and possibly high on something when he showed up. He told her that a girl that he had left in the mountain. He told her about a girl that he had left in. He told her about a girl that he had left up in the mountains. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. A satanic group had gotten control of the girl, and had physically changed into something all white looking. So you're telling me that Skip, all high and everything, told his friend Dorothy that he had took a girl to the mountains and he left her there, that there was a satanic group that had gotten control of her and then changed her into a white looking thing? A week after Theresa was reported missing, John received a threatening phone call from a young female. She told him that Skip was packing a pistol and wanted her to tell him, if you continue to make trouble for him, you will have more trouble from him. But if you continue to make trouble for him, you will have more trouble from him. Even your kids can get hurt. And tell the police that Skip had taken Theresa to school, dropped her off, and some unknown blonde girl had picked Theresa up. I wonder if that's in the police report. I tried to get a hold of it. I had to do a FOIA request, so I'm still waiting on that. But I wonder if they put that in there. And who was this person that threatened John? 2 days later, Skip was picked up by police at his mother's house in Sunnyside neighborhood of Fresno. He claimed that he had dropped Theresa off at school, but the police weren't buying it and he was arrested. Back at the police station, Skip claimed that Theresa ran away from him on June 1st, but eventually stated that Theresa had been forcibly taken by Bigfoot. He said that she would be happier there because they were super intelligent beings. I mean, don't they eat you? Doesn't Bigfoot eat you or something? Skip agreed to show authorities where the campsite that he and Theresa allegedly stayed at. He led them to a small grove of trees at the meadow's edge along Browns Creek. At the inner area of this grove, there was a smoldering fire among the heavy layer pine needles that appeared to be somewhat damp. This smothered blunt area was approximately 3.5 feet wide by 8 feet long. There were these blankets that were put up, and they were in a certain formation. There was a camera, a purse, and an off-white bra, and a t-shirt, pictures of the countryside, along with a picture of Welch playing guitar as he was sitting by what appeared to be the blanket that was in the grove area. There were also pictures of Theresa. The campsite where all this was found turned out to be staged by Skip. From the topology in the photos, the local deputies were able to guess that the actual camp was 20 miles away, possibly in Ghost Canyon. Even though he allegedly lied about the campsite, both the meadow and the canyon were searched. So, like I said, he told them, you know what, I'm going to take you to the place where me and her were at. He lied. He staged the whole thing. Come to find out that the campsite that they were at was 20 miles away. A helicopter that was searching for any clue or signs of Theresa's whereabouts spotted something in the hillside above the Brown Creek campsite. It turned out to be a blue shirt that belonged to Skip. It had METH in the pocket. One of Skip's relatives told authorities that Skip had told them about the rock at Ghost Canyon where a girl needed to be tied up as a sacrifice to the, the man downstairs. Satan. Skip was charged with Theresa's abduction, but the case against him was dismissed due to lack of evidence in October 1987. He was offered a deal for an extremely light sentence if he were to confess and show them where her body was. He refused, sticking to his Bigfoot story. Searches of the Shut-Eye Park area produced no clues as to her whereabouts. Theresa has never been found. Foul play is suspected in her case. Like I said, many years later, now into the year 2025, Theresa has never been found. No clues, no bones, literally nothing of Theresa has been found. The people who did the documentary, it's called Bigfoot Took Her, the Theresa Ann Bier story on Discovery. They've got in contact with some of Theresa's family members, some of Skip's family members, some people who knew Blind Johnny. Blind Johnny, her uncle, and Skip Welch did end up passing away. And they did want to interview them, but they passed away. They even talked to the nephew of Skip Welch, and they talked to somebody of Blind Johnny as well. Again, everybody, they don't know what happened. Skip was giving them like a bunch of stories that made zero sense at all. But Theresa was 5 foot 5 feet tall and 110 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen wearing a white t-shirt, blue jeans, lace sandals. She had brown hair, hazel eyes. Theresa's upper front teeth protrude. She has a surgical scar on her lower right leg due to a childhood fracture. Her nickname is Sam. In March 1998, Skip died at the age of 54 from severe coronary artery disease. Of course, you have any information, you can contact that number below. They are still wanting to know what happened to Theresa Ann Bier back in 1987. She does deserve justice. Now, Skip was telling everyone that Bigfoot took her, that he had no control, that it was Bigfoot. In my opinion, I don't think Bigfoot took her. Quite frankly, hearing about Skip and everything, I think Skip took a vulnerable little girl to the mountains. He probably raped her, SA'd her, and then threw her off the mountains. Mind you, he was a meth head, like a literal meth head. Okay, I mean, her uncle claimed he was worried about her, that he called 911 to report her, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think the uncle cared, because the uncle allegedly used her as a little mule to smuggle in what he needed. But I am going to show you the actual news article that they put out. There goes my Wi-Fi again. Regarding Theresa. So, a freed suspect claims Bigfoot took the teen. Fresno, California. A suspect who claims the legendary 8-man Bigfoot abducted a teenage girl was freed from jail 3 days before they scheduled start of his trial on child stealing charges. Fresno County authorities said they were forced into letting Russell Welch, 44, back on the streets to avoid double jeopardy if they later choose to charge the man with murder. Welch is accused of abducting Theresa Ann Bier, who was 16 at the time. Last June, the two went camping in the Central Sierra, and the girl did not return. Welch told authorities that the legendary 8-man, known as Sasquatch, had taken the girl. I think I have another one. Yeah, it's basically kind of like the same thing. Fresno man who faced trial for child stealing but accused Bigfoot of actually committing the crime was released from jail Friday After the charge was dismissed, Russell Skip Welch, who was 44, was charged with abducting Theresa Ann Bier, 16, of Fresno. Welch went camping with the girl in June, near Shut-Eye Peak, about 25 miles northeast of Bass Lake, and was questioned by authorities when he returned without her. Welch's explanation was that Bigfoot had abducted her. The girl has not been found. On Friday, Hooper, the deputy district attorney prosecuting the case, asked Fresno County Superior Court Judge James to dismiss the charge. The reason is that the case against Welch may become a homicide if the girl's body is found, and Hooper was concerned that a double jeopardy situation might exist if Welch were tried for a lesser charge. James dismissed the charge. Welch has been scheduled to stand trial Monday. Hooper said he offered a plea bargain in which Welch would plead guilty to child stealing and receive a sentence of 1 year in the county jail. But the offer was contingent upon Welch agreeing to sign a waiver of his rights to claim double jeopardy if a murder case eventually were filed against him. Mel Rube, Welch public defender, said the deal was unacceptable. He wouldn't say whether Welch's defense was still that Bigfoot had perpetrated the crime. Only 1 year, though? Should give him life. Okay. So, there's been a debate on whether or not this happened or does not happen. A lot of people on Reddit and TikTok are coming out and are saying that, maybe Theresa was abducted by a cryptid, or maybe Skip was really a cuckoo magoo and, did unalive Theresa and blame Bigfoot, because, if you blame a cryptid, you're never going to find any bones, you're going to find any body. So I have two point of views. My opinion, I think he killed her. Literally, my opinion, I think he unalived her. But I'm going to read you a story if it loads up. So I'm going to read you a story. So keep in mind what happened to Theresa Ann Bier and what we read, and how Skip had a past of being high on things. I'm going to read you a story of a man who claimed he was abducted by Sasquatch. Now you're probably like, Des, why are you telling me about some man that was abducted by Sasquatch? I'm going to give you 2 point of views. So, one point of view, on the side of TikTok, people think that maybe Theresa was abducted by Bigfoot and that Skip didn't know what to do. He freaked out. He left for his life. He didn't know, he just left her there. He feared for his life. He left. Then he is a meth head. He got high. And some people think maybe Skip is telling the truth. Allegedly, people said that in that area that they went, Ghost Canyon, it's known for seeing Bigfoot, ape men looking Sasquatches, families of them. So some people are saying maybe Skip was telling the truth and she did get abducted by Bigfoot and he didn't know what to do. He just freaked out and left. So I'm going to read you the story of lumberman Albert Ostman, who insisted and legally swore that he was once the unwilling guest of a family of Sasquatches in the Pacific Northwest. So the vast majority of reported encounters involving the elusive Sasquatch, whose huge, hairy, human-like creatures reportedly sighted all over across the U.S., are mostly cases of passive observation. Those who insist they have been within sight of the creature are also usually watching them go by from a blurry distance. Stories of direct physical contact with the Sasquatch are less frequent. In the experience claimed by Albert Ostman, in which he was physically kidnapped and held by a family of Sasquatches for up to a week was truly unique. So a Swedish-born Osman was a 30-year-old lumberman in 1924 when he ventured into the Tuba Intel on the British Columbia coast opposite Vancouver Island into an area that was popular with gold prospectors. Osman recalled a late life interview that an old Indian he hired as a guide to take him to the head of Tuba Intel highlighted something else that was special to the region. According to Osman, the guy said that they have hair all over their bodies, but they are not animals. They are people, big people living in the mountains. My uncle saw the tracks of those that were 2 feet long. One old Indian saw one over 8 feet tall. Osman brushed off the guide's story after venturing deeper into the woods, and he enjoyed the solitude of his camping trip until he experienced 3 consecutive mornings when he awoke to find his campsite had been disturbed. Believing he was being visited by a pesky animal, Osman conspired to catch the unwelcome guest. And on the 4th night, he climbed into his sleeping bag, fully dressed with his rifle. He also stored several of his canned provisioners in the sleeping bag to avoid having them pilfered by the campsite intruder. Osman planned failed when he drifted off to sleep and was awakened only when he realized something had picked him up and was carrying him off in his sleeping bag. Unable to free himself from the sleeping bag, he was carried up and down hills through the woods for what he later estimated to be roughly 3 hours. Finally, he was disposed on the ground just as the morning light was breaking. It was then that he first viewed his captors, a family of Sasquatches. They looked like a family, old man, old lady, 2 young ones, a boy and a girl. Osman later stated that the boy and the girl seemed to be scared of me. The old lady did not seem too pleased about what the old man dragged home, but the old man was waving his arms and telling them all what he had in mind, that they all left me then. So this is Osman. Osman said the matriarch of his Sasquatch clan gathered the food for their meals. She went into the woods and returned with arms full of grass and twigs and all kinds of cypress and hemlock, as well as some kind of nuts that grow on the ground. He found the boy curious, friendly, and the girl mid and potentially helpless. I am sure I could get the old man out of the way. I could easily have brought this girl out with me to civilization, he said. But what good would have that been? I would have to keep her in a cage for public display. I don't think we have any right to force our way of life on other people. I don't think they would like it. The noise and the racket in the modern city, they would not like any more than I do. Osman used food supplies he brought with him for substance, and admitted the Sasquatches made no attempt to harm him. Communication was accomplished through gestures. After 6 days with the Sasquatch, Osman said he beat a hasty retreat when the older male became violently sick after he ingested the contents of Osman's snuff box. Quickly gathering his belongings to escape, Osman fled, firing an airborne rifle shot to frighten the older woman when she tried to chase after him. He wandered and camped through the woods before he was able to find his way to a logging site. Osman never shared his story publicly until 1957, when tales of Sasquatch sightings began to percolate in the newspaper in the Pacific Northwest. His story was first printed in a newspaper called the Augustin Harrison Advance, and he was cross-examined by police and signed a solemn declaration that affirmed the story was true under oath in the virtue of the Canadian Evidence Act. Osman repeated his story on multiple occasions to Sasquatch researchers up until his death in 1975. Of course, there is no photograph or physical evidence to back up his story, although many experts in Sasquatch studies credited Osman for providing the most in-depth information on the mysterious creatures. Others have questioned the veracity of his account. There were never any additional sightings of the Sasquatch family from that region, but Osman said he was not eager to find them again. That was my last prospecting trip and my only experience with what was known as Sasquatches, he declared. So this man claimed that a family had abducted him and he was living with them for a week. Now, a lot of people on TikTok are saying maybe because his story did come up, that's why I brought up his story. Some girl was talking to him. I have to find the TikToks and I'll send it to you. I saved them. But one creator was saying that, maybe Theresa endured what Osman endured, and she ended up staying in the woods. Maybe she got sick, passed away, or maybe they did eat her because she tried to escape. Things like that. Everyone isn't entitled to their opinions, whether you believe in the cryptid or not. I've heard of Bigfoot stories. I've heard that they're out there. But excuse me. Allegedly, some people say that there's some here in Texas, but in the north and west of Texas. I live in the south. I see more of like coyotes and like snakes and all that. So I've never seen a cryptid. Do I want to see one? Heck no, because I probably wouldn't know how to act. I'll probably be like, whoa, what is that? Now, back to the other side. Now, some people think that this whole Bigfoot story is a front. It's a lie. It's a bunch of BS. They think that Skip Welch was a predator and that, he was a meth head. So he would do anything to bring in what he needs. Remember, Blind Johnny, who is Theresa's uncle, would use her as a little mule to bring in his supply, and then he would let his friends grape her and do other things. She was only 16 years old. So they think that Blind Johnny saw her as an opportunity because he's like, well, no one cares about Theresa. I'm going to take her and do what I want, give her back or do whatever. And this is the opinion that I fall on. I think that Skip Welch, in my opinion, allegedly, that he raped Theresa in those mountains. She fought back and he unalived her. He made up this quick little makeshift story, said that Bigfoot took her because they're in the middle of nowhere, because there was some possible sightings of Bigfoot in that area they went to. He's blaming Bigfoot and is going to say, oh, Bigfoot did it. While, he has history of being all high up on METH. Plus, he even staged a scene that to make it look like it was a campsite. He staged it to throw off police. I mean, he never told police where Theresa was or anything. Now, here is a similar case, kind of like Theresa Ann Bier. So an Oklahoma fisherman found guilty of murdering his friend he thought planned to feed him to Bigfoot. So it's kind of similar. So the here we go. Okay. See how my computer does that? An Oklahoma fisherman choked his friend to death because he bizarrely believed he planned to feed him to Bigfoot, a judge ruled Wednesday. Yes, there was a monster in the woods that night, but it wasn't Bigfoot, it was Larry Sanders. District Attorney Eric Johnson said after Sanders was found guilty of first-degree murder at the Potomac County District Court, the 55-year-old had been fishing for catfish by hand with his high school buddy Jimmy Knighton, 52, in July 2022, when he claims to have spotted a 12-foot-tall Sasquatch tromping around downstream. This is him. This is Larry. The friends got into an argument over a fish swimming in the South Canadian River, roughly 100 miles southeast of Oklahoma City. And when Knighton shouted, Sanders thought he was summoning the mythical ape to come eat him, according to the local station. During the Wild trial, Sanders told the court he suspected Knighton was planning on drowning him and float his body downstream to feed to Bigfoot, the outlet reported. A brawl between the men broke out, and Sanders grabbed his pal by the throat and strangled him until he turned blue and passed away. He confessed to cops. Sanders told police he kept Knighton in a chokehold until he stopped breathing, while the tribe of Bigfoot watched. Justin Brown, a special agent with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, testified during the trial. Sanders claimed he then raised his hand in victory to show the upright walking apes he won the fight, the agent said. Larry claimed that while in the river, he discovered Jimmy intended to feed him to the Sasquatch Bigfoot, Sanders told the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. Larry and Jimmy fought for an extended amount of time on the ground. Larry confirmed he killed Jimmy by choking him near the river. To win a first-degree murder conviction in Oklahoma, prosecutors must provide malice aforethought, meaning the killer must have had intent to cause death, Johnson said. Sanders' lawyer have insisted that he was simply trying to take control of the situation in a heated moment, but didn't mean to kill his friend. Oh, you didn't mean to kill your friend? I mean, didn't you just say you thought your friend was going to feed you to Bigfoot, but really he wasn't? You were just having an argument? His authorities had previously planned to use an insanity defense, but scrapped the claim after Sanders was shown to understand right from wrong, according to the station. The first-degree murder conviction was handed down by Judge Stephen, and Sanders now faces a life sentence without parole. His sentence hearing is set for June 18th. So this man, Larry, hold on. I'm trying to show you his face. Larry here, Larry got into an argument with his friend. They were shouting over some fish or something. And I don't know what possessed him to think that his friend was going to feed him to Sasquatch, to Bigfoot. He was going to drown him, let his body float, and then Bigfoot was going to pick him up and eat him. So he decided to unalive him. Now, a lot of people are saying, because this case maybe allegedly Skip, like I said, he took Theresa to that specific place because there was possible sightings of Bigfoot there. He knew Theresa was vulnerable. He knew that she would be easily manipulated. So he tried to grape her. He tried to do something to her. Theresa fought back. He fought with her. He either pushed her off the cliff, he murdered her, or something. And then, of course, he probably freaked out and was like, oh, what did I do? So he wrapped up a story and was like, you know what? People said Bigfoot live out here. I'm going to blame it on Bigfoot. And he decided to blame it on Bigfoot and go on with his life. That's the side I agree on. I think that Skip unalived Theresa. And of course, they're in the middle of nowhere. They're in the middle of the woods. So if they're going to look for Theresa, they're probably just going to find what's left of her bones. I mean, it's been, I think 87 to, how long is that? Let me see. I mean, it's almost 40 years. Almost 40 years has gone by. Immediately, if he threw her off the cliff, the wildlife would have, and I hate to say it, would have eaten her. It would have just been her bones. I mean, the guy is the biggest red flag ever, just like her uncle. The biggest red flag ever. I mean, he even staged a campsite to throw off police and be like, look, we were here, but come to find out, later on, police ended up finding the actual campsite and was like, you weren't at the one you took us, you were at this one. He tried to throw everyone off. I mean, in the documentary, they claim that Skip cried to the authorities and was like, I didn't mean to do it. And then he reversed and changed what he said and completely changed the subject. But, I mean, Skip ended up passing away. And so did Blind Johnny, which is her uncle. I really do hope that they find something to tie Skip Welch to Theresa Ann Bier's death. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. You can believe in Bigfoot. I'm not gonna judge you in any way. You can believe in Bigfoot all you want. But I don't think Bigfoot took into play in this. I just think it was a predator, aka Skip Welch, who saw Theresa as a target, as someone he could prey on, and he killed her. I mean, he possibly raped her too. I mean, Theresa went through a lot of shit, like a lot of shit. But I do want justice for Theresa Ann Bier. It's almost been like 40 years since her disappearance, and still, almost 40 years later, nobody knows anything what happened to Theresa, where Theresa could be. The only person who would know is Skip Welch, but then again, he was telling a bunch of lies. He was playing a cat and mouse game with the police and Theresa. But yeah, my prayers and condolences go out to Theresa Ann Bier's family, her relatives. I mean, it is just so sad. I mean, 16 years old. 16 years old, and all she wanted was someone to love her, to treat her with, respect and love. She went through a lot of stuff, Theresa. But yeah, this was the live we were supposed to talk about yesterday, but like I said, I wanted to give you guys a day of Halloween with no true crime. But I mean, stuff did happen on Halloween. We can talk about another thing. Let me actually pull it up. Tomorrow we do have the Ellen Greenberg we do have part 3 of Ellen Greenberg that we need to talk about. We have so much to talk about regarding Ellen Greenberg. I do want to look into her fiance. What? Hang on. I don't know what that was. Okay. And don't forget, you guys got to turn your clocks back tonight. Hang on. Oh, my leg. Oof. I hope you guys had a good Halloween. I hope you guys checked your kids' candies too. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about some stuff that happened here in my town during Halloween. It's important you check your kids' candies because you never know. I mean, there is some good people in the world, but there also is some bad people in the world, and it sucks. But if it loads, not Peppa Pig. A razor blade was found inside a child's Halloween candy. And of course, every year the police is always like, check your kids' candy, put a magnet or some sort near your candy. And if it detects something, then that means there's either a razor, there's a needle. But I've always wondered, like how in the why do people do that? And how do they do that? Like, how do they manage to put something like this, like a razor, inside a candy without making it look like the candy was not disturbed or nothing? And why would they do that? Like, that's so sick. That's disgusting. People are so disgusting. It was in Kyle, Texas. Police were alerted after a razor blade was allegedly found inside a piece of Halloween candy. Halloween, what the heck? On Saturday, the Kyle Police Department took to Facebook to warn parents that a razor blade had been found in a child's Reese's Take 5 candy bar. According to police, the wrapper appeared to be sealed and unopened. You see, like, what? Look at that. Always check the candy, y'all. Check the candy. Um, Police encourage parents to check every piece of candy before allowing their child to eat it. If families in Kyle find anything suspicious or dangerous in your child's candy, you can call the Kyle Police Department. And of course, if anyone in San Antonio finds anything, you can call the San Antonio Police Department. It's crazy. Like, if you guys find anything in your child's candy, please contact your local police department. It's crazy how we're in 2025 and yet disgusting adults do this stuff. Like, really? Not even adults, sometimes they're teenagers. But another one was a shooting that happened here at a Halloween party. So 2 people were shot on Halloween as they walked up to a home for a party. The shooting occurred around 10:10 p.m. near Vance Jackson Road and Turdale Drive. According to San Antonio Police Department, a man and a woman were walking up to a home that was having a party when bullets rang out. The 27-year-old man was shot 3 times in the butt, back, and leg, and the woman sustained a grazed wound. Authorities say a white sedan drove by the home and began shooting. Both victims were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No suspects have been found. But yeah. Oh, I thought I showed my email. I mean, it is crazy out there. I mean, you can't even enjoy Halloween with something going down. I remember when I was younger, I used to love Halloween. I used to love being out when I was younger, when I was a kid. I remember my mom, we lived on the street where not a lot of trick-or-treaters would come. So my mom would buy candy thinking that trick-or-treaters would come. Oh, I mean, maybe like 5 trick-or-treaters would come, and my mom would give them like 2 handfuls of candy because she knew we wouldn't get like a lot of trick-or-treaters. And I remember I would always be like, there's gonna be leftover candy for me, because she would pass out candy after maybe like for 2 hours, and then after that we would go trick-or-treating around the neighborhood. And I remember I used to be scared of the costumes. I wouldn't even want to see anybody in costumes because I was so scared. But I used to get so excited because I would be like, if I don't go trick-or-treating, I get to get all the candy my mom has left over. And I was so excited about it. And it's true. I would always get the candy my mom had left over. And it was a lot of candy. And of course, she never had to check it because, I mean, she bought that candy from the store. So she knew it was trusted. But she would check the candy that I would get when I was out trick-or-treating. But I used to love, when I was little, I used to love trick-or-treating. Now, once I got like to a certain age, I would stop trick-or-treating, and my mom would stop passing out candy because like I said, we lived in a street where no one came. So when my nephew was born, we would take him to like the fancy side here in our town, and they give out like the big candy bars. So we took him yesterday and he got a bunch of big candy bars. He was so excited. We checked out his candy. So far, nothing. It was so cool because one of the houses we went to, a family, they had the option. Either you wanted candy, you wanted macaroni, you wanted ramen noodles, a drink. You can get whatever you want. I mean, it was so cool. I was like, whoa, like, I've never seen anyone do that. It was so cute. But yeah, always check your kids' candy because, I mean, you never know. You really do not never know what is in those candies. But yeah, being a kid when I was in Halloween was just so fun. I remember I used to go to school. My mom used to bring like the cupcakes and stuff. And I would be so excited because we would eat cupcakes and pizza and watch like Halloween movies. Oh, I used to love being a kid during Halloween or like any holiday. I used to love it. I miss those days because back then there was not a lot of crime. So you can be out in the streets all like a reasonable time to like 10:30 and not have to worry about nothing. Nowadays, now you gotta look over you gotta watch your six. So another one I do want to talk about is a truck driver who crashes into trick-or-treaters on the south side, the family of 3. This was not far from where I live. So police tell us a truck driver crashed into a parked vehicle, jumped the curb, and struck a group of trick-or-treaters. What happened was an individual got in his truck, hit the gas a little too hard, struck that parked vehicle to jumped the curb, and unfortunately hit a large group of trick-or-treaters. San Antonio Police Sergeant Amy Morris told us on the scene the crash happened just before 8 p.m. Friday on the 9300 block of Monsanto on the south side. A trick-or-treater, a trick-or-treating 1-year-old girl was injured in the crash along with a 29-year-old woman and a 29-year-old man. The man and the 1-year-old had minor injuries, while the woman was hospitalized but is expected to recover. According to a preliminary report, the suspect entered his vehicle, attempted to leave the location where he had originally parked. As the suspect started driving, he struck the parked vehicle, jumped the curb, and shortly after struck the 3 victims. The driver struck another parked vehicle and then a fence before fleeing the scene. A 29-year-old female got the most of it, but like I said, by the grace of God, she's going to be okay. It was, she's over at the hospital getting care. Their family, actually husband, wife, and baby. There were several that jumped out of the way. She was there on the ground bleeding. Oh my goodness. We were all huddled around her, said Anna Medina, who witnessed the crash. Her husband was trying to move her, trying to get her to react. The driver, Raul Trevino, who's 61, fled the scene after the crash, which occurred on the block known for its high trick-or-treating activity. He was later arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. Evidence of intoxicants in the car, said Sergeant Morris. This is the decision that was made by him, and he is under arrest right now. Guys, come on. Do not drink and drive. Call an Uber, call a Lyft. Tell a friend to take you home. Take the keys away if you see your friend is slurring their words or is acting intoxicated. Do not drink and drive. Halloween, Christmas, and New Year's are the most high holidays here in San Antonio because we get a lot of intoxicated people who think that they'll sober up to drive home. Don't do it, guys. Just don't. Just really don't. Be mindful of other people on the streets. There's families that are driving home. There's elderly. There's people trying to go to work. If you know someone who's drunk, please keep them at your house. Drive them home. Take the keys away. Do something. Don't let them drive home like that. Shame on whoever Raul was at because their family members should have took those keys away, or whoever he was with should have took those keys away and said, look, you're intoxicated. You're not leaving. There's kids out trick-or-treating. But the fact that he fled the scene, are you freaking kidding me? Bro, come on now. But, yeah, besides that, the flooding in New York was crazy. I was looking at the New York parade last night. Dude, the costumes were so, they went off. New Yorkers went off on their costumes. It was nice. Can I show you that? Ooh. Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit of it. I don't want to get copyrighted, though. Maybe if I don't play the music, I won't get copyrighted. But, the parade was so... I saw they did the Thriller. Where's my search bar? They did the Thriller dance. Let me see. New York went out on their Halloween parade. Let me see. I don't want to... Okay, I'm going to show you Fox. Okay. Sorry, I'm not going to play the sound. I don't want to get copyrighted. Today they're doing a parade here. They're doing the Dia de los Muertos parade, the Day of the Dead. But New York went all out. Literally for Halloween, rain or shine. I mean, they got hit with like bad rain and it was like flooding, but they went all out. I muted it because of the music. I don't want the music to like interfere or anything. But New York went all out. Like, I kid you not. They went all out on their parade. The costumes was so amazing. If you guys follow Novesity, he has a second YouTube channel. He went to the parade. He was dressed up as Donald Trump, and then he did amazing on his costume too. He was out at the parade. He was showing us on a live stream, and then it kept cutting off because of like the Wi-Fi, just like right now how my Wi-Fi is cutting off. But I mean, they did so good at the parade. I think it's because of the quality I put it at. I mean, everybody went out for New York. It's so cool how like they can come together and like celebrate it. Hopefully, it was peaceful. You know, nobody got hurt. I mean, because there's so much crime in the world. I'm just like, we all need to just come together and just spread some kindness and love. I don't think it has. That must be strawberry shortcake. If there's strawberry shortcake, that is so cute. See, everyone is all dressed up. Like, the costumes are so cute. But yeah. All right, I'm going on an hour. I think everybody is out and about on this Saturday night. Everyone's in everyone else's streams. So I'm going to end it because I think OB is live or, oh no, Rat House is live. Damn, 394 people are watching.
That's going to be a huge fucking announcement that everybody will be talking about because it will be made. The announcement will be made at the same time.
All right, I need to head over to Rat House Media.
Press release.
I need to learn how you can get back the whatchamacallit? The membership. Is there like a join button? I need to check it out. I need to redo my membership for Rat House Media. But let me see. Is there any other updates before I end it? Let me see. No. Okay. All right. So this was a fun little live. I'll be back tomorrow. Same time. I'm gonna go early because I know Monday everybody works. But tomorrow we're gonna talk about Ellen Greenberg, part 3. We're gonna look into the interviews. We're gonna see what everyone says and some other stuff regarding it. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. You guys are the best. I love y'all. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow around 8 o'clock, 8:30 Central Time. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. But yeah, you guys are the best. I love y'all. Have a great rest of your Saturday night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.